Welcome. Good to see y'all. Conversation week 6. We are talking about how to tell, to know, is it possible for the church to be a safe place? My conjecture is that church is not a safe place. It is not a safe place for everyone. It is not a safe place for a lot of people, and that is my conjecture that will be fleshed out tonight as we continue this conversation. This whole series, the hope of this whole series has been that we would talk about things that would lead to conversation. We live in a world where too often the conversations are shut down before they even have a chance to begin. And we can't grow, we can't get better, we can't better ourselves, we can't better those around us, we can't expand our minds and our hearts if we don't have conversations. And we have to have conversations with people that don't think and look and act like us. That's how we grow. If we're just having conversations with people who just look like us, think like us, walk like us, were raised like us, then we're not going to grow or change because we're just sitting around talking with people that think and do the same things we do. We really grow and better ourselves when we have conversations with people who have a different take, a different spin. And not those people that just want to argue with you about everything and just debate about everything, but people who genuinely come at the world from a different angle than you do. Like for real, a different angle than you do. And that's how we grow, is because we're like, oh my gosh, I've never in my life thought about that or seen that thing before. Ever. I've never thought about it that way. Ever. But you who grew up in this place with these people in this environment and this culture and this kind of faith background and whatever, you come at it so differently than I ever would have imagined. So now I can grow because, wow, I'm hearing things that I didn't hear before. So that's what this whole thing is about. Conversation to grow and better ourselves. And tonight we are talking about a safe place. Is church a safe place? And just remember, everything I do, everything I teach and preach and share, I am attempting to do with humility, love, grace, compassion, and joy. That is my goal. That is my heartbeat. That is what I want to happen. That is what I believe should happen for all of us, is that we are living lives of humility, love, grace, compassion, and joy. That's how I share. So anything I share tonight, anything I share ever, the takes I have, the thoughts I have, the way I look at Scripture, and how we are and how we raised and how we live, it's all coming from a place of humility. I'm not sitting here telling you that I figured it out. Y'all all should follow in my wake because I have mastered the plan for life. It is coming from a place of humility, that in my journey, in my experience, what I have walked through, what I've experienced, my personal relationship with Jesus, I've come to this place where I feel like, deep in my soul, I feel like, the phrase I use all the time, it resonates with my soul that this path is the path I think is the one that Jesus would have me go down. But I say that with all humility. And I hope as I live it out, I'm able to do so with humility, love, grace, compassion, and joy. So tonight, as we're talking about whether or not church is a safe place, this thing works on 2 levels tonight. The first level is just simply put, is church a safe place for everyone? Is it? Period. First level, very surface. That actually will be the question for this week. I'll put up a poll and I'm going to ask, is church a safe place? Yes or no? Period. That's the first level. The second level that it works on is that if church is not a safe place, if it's not, and there's lots of reasons why it might not be, but if it's not a safe place, then the question is it even possible for it to be a safe place? In the way that church is structured in 2021 in America. Is it even possible for it to be a safe place for everyone? And just so we, in case some of y'all are confused, or in case you're like, I'm not talking about safe from a like security team standpoint. Like, do you have a good security team? Do they have walkies and the little earpieces? Does someone have a gun they carry? Do they have a concealed carry class they've taken? Like a sniper on the roof? Like, all those things are important. And if you're part of a church, if you've ever been on staff at a church, you know those things are important. So that's over here. Like, church needs to be safe. Literally, security team, physically safe, okay? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, can all walks of life, can all kinds of people, in all kinds of backgrounds and experiences, is church a safe place for any one of them to walk into? We have these slogans, these phrases that we throw around a lot at church, like, you belong here, welcome home, you are part of the family, things like that, right? But what we come to find out so often is that actually, if I bring a particular kind of person, they might not belong here. They might not be as welcome as this other kind of person. They might actually not be welcomed into the family, like inner circle family. They might be kind of on the third cousin on your mother's side kind of family, right? We begin to see that although we say and we put them on our little lanyards that like, hey, you all belong, you belong, all are welcome, that when we really get down to the fine print of things, sometimes that's not the case. Now, I believe, hear this, I believe that the church should be a safe place. I do. I believe that personally, but also believe that historically. Just here's some things I want to throw at you guys that maybe you didn't know this. This kind of is like, oh, this is kind of fascinating, okay? Sanctuary, okay? We've all been in a sanctuary. We've listened to worship in a sanctuary. We've listened to sermons in a sanctuary. We've gone to retreats in a sanctuary. A lot of us have probably walked down the aisle in a sanctuary. We've seen people get baptized in a sanctuary. We've all been in a sanctuary. Sanctuary defined protection or a safe place, especially for someone or something being chased or hunted, okay? This is just old Merriam-Webster, right? Sanctuary is protection or a safe place, especially for someone being chased or hunted. Okay, think about that. Let that just sit in there for a second. We really get down to the definition of what a sanctuary is. It's protection or a safe place, especially for someone being chased or hunted. Now, not to get too biblical, right? But 1 Peter 5:8 says that be alert and of sober mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. If that doesn't sound like being chased or hunted, and I don't know what does. Right? So the sanctuary is a protection and a safe place that we should be able to feel safe going to and being in. We should be able to, no matter where we came from, no matter what we're doing, no matter what we've been, no matter what we've been through, we should be able to come to find protection in a safe place, the sanctuary. And then moving on from Merriam-Webster, good old Wikipedia, right, says that the term sanctuary has evolved over time. The term has come to be used for any place of safety. See, in this sacred place of the sanctuary was actually a legal, by law, place of refuge, recognized by English law from the 4th to the 17th century. So legally, the sanctuary at the church was a safe place legally from the 4th to the 17th century. Legally. You could find safety and refuge legally by law, enforced by law. You had to be allowed safety in this place. So we have gone from where the sanctuary was a safe place. It was a safe place and a refuge for people fleeing war and violence. And now it's not even safe for people who are wearing the wrong pants or have too many tattoos, right? Like we've gone from this was a safe place if you were fleeing a mob of marauders who were violently trying to hurt you and you were legally protected. We've gone from that to it's not even safe if you just think differently, look differently, walk differently, identify differently. Anything that doesn't fit their definition of who should be allowed in their sanctuary isn't safe in the sanctuary. Now, for me, when I look at that, I obviously I see the big picture of, we're talking about just a definition of just sanctuary. Like it goes back hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years that this was supposed to be a place of safety. You should be able to come into this sanctuary and feel safe. It will be enforced by law that you should come in here and feel safe. And we've swung the pendulum from there all the way back this way to where there are countless people we probably both know of that do not in any way feel safe in a church. They just don't. I remember when we first moved to Salt Lake City to start a church that we are no longer a part of, which most of y'all know. Moved here to start a church. And my wife, who has a lot of followers on social media, got an email from a gal who said, hey, me and my girlfriend love Jesus, and we just want to find a place that we can worship and grow in our faith. Would your church be a place for us to come to? And Brittany got super excited. She's like, yes, it is a safe place for you to come and be. And we're going on a journey with Jesus together. And Brittany got so excited. I remember us talking about it vividly. It was this awesome conversation. Well, sometime in the midst of this email conversation, this lady had Googled the mothership, the organization, the big church that we are a part of, and the movement that we are a part of is not an affirming movement. They're not. They love them, but they are not an affirming movement. So they Googled the church, the organization. They found some sermons. They found some, stuff about it. And they realized real quick that like this movement, they were not welcome. They were not safe to come to our church. And she emailed Brittany back and was like, hey, I Googled and I found this. And it turns out you are not the kind of people that we would feel safe with. And it just like crushed us, right? It crushed us. That these people, all they want to do is worship Jesus. These two gals, all they want to do is worship Jesus. All they want to do is grow in their faith. All they want to do is learn more about who they're called to be and who God designed them to be. And before they even had the opportunity to come and be with us and walk through life with us, the walls were dropped on them. And they did not feel in any way, shape, or form safe to come worship Jesus with us. That hurts me. It hurts. And I feel like I felt then, and I feel now that there's something wrong if people who just want to experience Jesus, that we're building and structuring our churches in such a way that they can't even get in the doors to experience Jesus. There's something wrong with that, in my humble opinion. Another example. A buddy of mine went through a divorce, and the way the divorce happened was all kind of backwards church stuff also. Like they went to some church counseling. The church people these ladies did not do any kind of good biblical counseling. They seemed to just be some bitter women that were mad at men, and they strongly encouraged his wife to divorce him, and that led to divorce. And so there's it's a whole nother talk about how we give way too much power to people in church, that the things they're saying is like, oh, this is straight from the mountain. Like they went up and talked to the Lord face to face and came back down, and this is the gospel truth. Like we give way too much power to people, right? To sinful, broken, insecure, agenda-having people. We give way too much power to them. But that's another topic, right? But anyway, he got divorced. And he said, as this whole messy thing was going down and going through a divorce and all this stuff, he said that he has never felt so judged and hated. He said the most judged and hated he's ever felt were inside the walls of the church. the most judged and hated he's ever felt. And he's not like a 12-year-old or like a 4-year-old. And even a 4-year-old said that. That's still too much time to feel judged and hated, right? Like, he's a grown man. And the most judged and hated he's ever felt was inside the walls of a church. And as you can imagine, he has no desire to go back to a church. I wouldn't either, right? Like, he doesn't want to go back because he's never felt so... first of all, any place that we go that we feel judged and hated, we probably don't want to go back to. But then double down on the fact that the place that we should feel safe, the place that legally from the 4th to the 17th century, you were legally guaranteed to feel safe. Like, the place we should have anywhere be able to come with all of our messiness and feel safe is the church. And if you feel judged and hated, not only do you not feel safe, you feel everything opposite of what we believe Jesus represents. So we didn't step foot back in a church, and I get it. I have some friends of mine. They're an amazing, incredible couple, and they have a huge heart for the LGBTQ plus community. I love that community. I have a lot of friends in that community. I have friends that are Christian, not Christian, everything in between. But they go to a church, and that church is not an affirming church, and they love going to church there. But they have this real tension and this real struggle internally of like, okay, we have all these friends in the LGBTQ community. We want to be able to bring them to church. But I know if we bring them to this church, it's not going to be a safe place for them to come. So what do we do? Because we love these people in this church, but we love these people who we want to bring to church. We can't bring them to this church. And they're in a spot that they don't know how to navigate. Now, I can tell them how they should navigate it. They should probably leave that church. That's my humble opinion, right? I can't relate to them. They have all these relationships. They love these people, and they love the pastors, and blah, 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 blah. But when you have these people who you love, who you want to encounter Jesus and walk through life with them as they're encountering Jesus, and you cannot bring them to this church because they will not feel safe at this church, that's not okay. And some of y'all know our story. We moved here to start a church. We laid down everything in our life to start a church. We left everything behind to move to Salt Lake City to start a church. And all we did for 4 or 5 years from the Waco times into Salt Lake was point people to Jesus. That's it. We didn't have all kinds of weird stuff going on in the background. We didn't have all kinds of like, well, I don't know about this JR and Brittany characters. They seem a little off. Like, no, all we did was love people and point people to Jesus. That's it. And then when there came a time when me and Brittany had some questions about how this movement navigated the LGBTQ community, we had some questions of whether or not we thought that was the best way to be. We thought maybe it was better to be this way maybe, but at least it was worth the conversation. At least it was worth us asking questions. At least it was worth us discussing whether or not we could be a safe place. At least it was worth all of that. We got booted. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. We went 3 weeks from leading the church we started to erased from the history of the church because we had questions. You telling me that's a safe place? The leaders of the church had questions, and just the questions were enough to have us be gone? That's not a safe place. That's not a safe place. And when I look at sanctuary, and I look at the definition, and I look at the history, and I look at the legality of it from the 4th to the 17th century, that there seems to be this call that this should be a safe place. There seems to be this call that this should be a place where it's safe, that anyone, y'all say it with me, anyone can come in these doors, experience Jesus, and walk this journey of faith that we're all walking. I don't have it all figured out. You 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 definitely don't have it all figured out. You don't have it figured out. None of us have it figured out. But in faith, we're walking this journey, this messy, faith-filled journey. And we need to be able to do that in a safe place. But I wonder if the church can actually be that. I just straight up, have we gotten to a place in the way that we are structuring church, the way church is run? Church is very much run like a business with policies and procedures and manuals that are this thick on how to actually come and be a part of this place. Like, are we to a place to where a church just can't be that? In Matthew 9, starting in verse 9, it says, as Jesus went on from there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax collector's booth. So a man named Matthew was a tax collector. Tax collectors were not liked people. People did not like the tax collectors. They were a lot of times criminal. A lot of times they were shady at best and breaking laws at worst. And they were not taking care of people well. People did not like tax collectors. Fishermen for sure didn't like tax collectors because they always got the raw end of the deal, always. So you have some disciples who are fishermen, and they're following Jesus. They're stoked about it. And then they see Jesus call this tax collector to come be a disciple with them. Can you imagine, right? Can you imagine you're giving everything to go follow this Jesus guy, and then Jesus invites one of your arch nemesis to come be best friends with you, right? That's got to be a tough time, but that's what happens. Jesus says to Matthew, the tax collector, hey, come and follow me. And Matthew got up and followed Jesus, right? Got up and followed Jesus. Then it says, while Jesus was having dinner at Matthew's house. Okay, so he's having dinner at Matthew's house. Okay, who's now a disciple. He's hanging out, having dinner over there. It says that many tax collectors and sinners. So sinners could be lots of different things. It could be lots of different characters, but these aren't the characters that are like, oh my gosh, that is the A team of Christians right there. That is the A team of disciples. That is the people that we surround ourselves on a regular basis. Those are the people that have the VIP guest list at the temple. Like, no, these are sinners. They're the people we don't associate with or hang out with. But tax collectors and sinners came and ate with Jesus and his disciples. So these tax collectors and sinners chose, okay, where we having dinner tonight, y'all? Y'all all a bunch of tax collectors, y'all all a bunch of sinners, we all a bunch of filthy people. Where are we having dinner tonight? We can go down the street to the pizza joint. We can go get a burger at the bar down the road. We can go have some chicken fingers. We can maybe eat healthy and go to like a vegan joint. What do you guys want to do? Where do you want to go? And you're like, I know. Why don't we go hang out with that Jesus guy and his disciples and have dinner over there? Because I hear they're hanging out at Matthew's house. So why don't we go hang out with Jesus and his disciples? All of these tax collectors and sinners, all of these, we don't associate with those people kind of people. All of them decide, hey, you know what? Well, let's go hang out with Jesus and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners? Why does your teacher hang out and associate with all those kinds of people? On hearing this, Jesus said, it is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. There's a reason why I'm here, and it's not for this, it's for this. And as great of a teaching point as that is, and that's a whole other sermon about, the healthy and the sick and what Jesus came for and all that kind of stuff. The point a couple verses ago is that these tax collectors and sinners, they made the willing decision to want to go have dinner at the house where Jesus was. They didn't get like tricked on the street and like fooled into coming to church. Like they didn't be like, hey, I know you don't like church, but like, hey, we got this retreat. There's a lot of cute girls there. Pay your money, come to this retreat. Wasn't anything like that. It wasn't like, hey, we got this massive banquet. You could win an iPad. Come to this banquet. And they came because of that. No, they made the choice to go and sit at a table with Jesus and other disciples. They made the willing choice to do that. You think Jesus was a safe place? Of course he was. There is no way in Hades that those people are going to go sit at the table with Jesus unless Jesus gave off whatever he gave off to let them know that he was a safe place. Such so that you see tax collectors and sinners not going to the pizza joint, not going to the bar, not going to the burger place, not going to get chicken strips, not going to Chipotle. They're choosing to go sit at a table with Jesus. All their scars, all their flaws, all their brokenness, all their insecurities, all their sins, all their baggage, all their skeletons in the closet. They bring it all, and they choose to bring it all and sit at the table with Jesus because he was a safe place. Now here's the thing. And here's the rub, y'all. Here's where it gets tricky. Here's where I don't know what to do with it. If I did know what to do with it, I'd write a book and I'd go on a speaking circuit and I'd be sitting pretty and I'd be that pastor driving a car that pastor probably shouldn't drive because I'd be doing well. But here's the struggle. The temple was not a safe place for everyone. It wasn't, period. There was the inner circle and the inner circle and the VIP inner circle and the double VIP platinum inner circle sponsored by Sobe Water. Like there was the in, and there were the outskirts, and there were people on the outside that just kind of at an arm's length. There were the people that get into here but not get into here. There were people get into here but not get into here. It was not a safe place for everyone. The temple was not a safe place for everyone, period. It just wasn't. But Jesus was a safe place for everyone. That's not a question. Jesus was a safe place for everyone. The tax collectors and the sinners, Nicodemus coming at night, the adulterous woman, the Samaritan woman at the well. Jesus was a safe place for everyone. But the temple was not. Fast forward to today. I believe in my 40 plus years of life, in my 20 plus years of ministry, I have seen firsthand over and over and over and over again that the church is not a safe place for everybody. It's just not. Now, maybe I just haven't been to the right kind of church, but it's just not what I've experienced. It's not. It's safe for these people, but it's not for these people. It's safe for the Trump supporters, but not the Biden supporters. Safe for white folks, but not for black folks. Or it's safe for black folks, but not for white folks. Safe for the rich people, but not the poor people. It's safe for the people in the suits, but not for the people in the raggedy jeans. It's safe for the people that like a band, but not for the people that want hymns and an organ, right? It's safe for these people, but not for these people. When I look back, the temple was not a safe place for everybody. And Jesus came and said, I want to do it differently because we need to create something where these people, these tax collectors and sinners can feel safe coming and sitting at the table with me. So Jesus said, bump it. I'll be the safe one. I will. The temple might not be, and I might go speak in the synagogue and do this and that, but I'm going to be safe even though temple is not. Fast forward 2,000 years, we're in the same place to where the church is not a safe place for everybody, but Jesus still is. Jesus still is. The church might not be. Your church might not be. My church definitely wasn't. That's why we're not there. We got kicked out. It might be that the church just is never going to be a safe place for everybody, but Jesus is. He is. And if we have Jesus living inside of us, then we have to be the safe place. And it goes back to what I preached about ages ago, that it comes back down to us being the church as opposed to worrying about going to church. Because those people, they're not going to church. But they very well are probably going to come sit at your house and have some great cooking, have some drinks, and be with Jesus that way. We just might be a place in our life, in our world, in our society, where church is just not going to be a safe place for everybody. It's just not. But Jesus will always be a safe place for everybody. And so because of that, when you have Jesus in you, it is now on you to be that safe place. And just like those tax collectors and the sinners that chose to go eat dinner with Jesus, and I can only imagine how sacred that moment was at that dinner table, we have the same opportunity where people will choose to come eat dinner with us, and we will experience a sacred moment around the dinner table. If I figure out how to make church a safe place for everybody, trust me, y'all be the first ones to know. Y'all will see my billboards. Y'all see my book on New York bestseller list. Y'all will see me on a speaking tour because it'll be massive news. I just wonder if we're at a place where that's just not our reality. The way we've structured church, the way we have churches operating as businesses, we have churches who have to have. Now hear me. I understand why churches have to do it the way they do it. I get it. Whether I agree with it or not, doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I get it. I understand why you have to have your doctrines and your policies and your lines in the sand, and why your church has to build walls to keep people out. I get it. I get it. But I'm about building bridges, not walls. I'm about living a life where the Jesus in me can be a safe place for anybody. What me and Brittany have discovered since we left the church almost, 2.5 years ago, was that we're still pastors. Except now we are fully, y'all say it with me, fully free to be a safe place to anybody. We're not handcuffed and bound to a bunch of lines in the sand and policies and procedures and stuff and walls, and we're not. We can actually just be a safe place for anyone. And let me tell you, it's been a journey that has been the most beautiful, rewarding thing to have conversations with people who just pour their hearts out to us about the journey they're on, the world they're walking, the things they're doing. And for whatever reason, me and Brittany are a safe place for them where the church wouldn't be. Now, I want y'all to hear my heart. This is not a bash on church message. It is a challenge and a question that I'm posturing to y'all. That is simply, maybe we're just trying to do the wrong thing. Maybe the way we do church, that's not the point. It can't be a safe place for everyone because these people believe this, these people believe this, and that's what this denomination for, this denomination for, and that's what that church for, this church for, and they believe this, they believe that, and we believe this, and y'all believe that. And maybe that's just not the point. The point is Jesus in me is calling me to be a safe place to the world around me. And if I'm doing that and I'm being church, then people are going to be impacted and Jesus will be made famous through me simply being a safe place. So for all of you out there, I think that's our call. I do believe you should go to a church where you align with and you believe the same things they believe. So if you're at a church where, you're all for the LGBTQ plus community and you're going to a church that is not, then that's probably not the church for you. Or if you're going to a church that is all Trump supporters and they're all voting that direction and you are about the opposite end of the spectrum from that, might not be the right fit for you, and everything in between. Like, if you're not racist and you're going to a racist church, that's a tough place to be. Like, you probably should believe in the things that your church believes in, but aside from that, you as an individual, you as your family unit, you as a married couple, you as your husband and wife and kids and everything in between, you have the opportunity with Jesus in you to be a safe place for all the people in your world. For the people that live next door to you, for the people across the street, for the people you go to the gym with, for the people you bump into the grocery store. You have the opportunity to create a sanctuary, a safe place for anyone to come and experience the Jesus you know. Without walls, without lines in the sand, without procedures to worry about. Just let Jesus do what Jesus does, period. So I want us to be a people that can create a safe place for everyone in our worlds that we know need it. I don't want us to be reliant on finding that magical, perfect church out there that is safe for everyone. I want us to realize that we have an opportunity. Let's not pass the buck. We have an opportunity to be a safe place, period. And we do that, we can be the church. And we do that, Jesus can be introduced to whoever the heck Jesus wants to introduce himself to, because we're creating the safe place for that to happen. So the question this week is simple, and I'm gonna put it, up on my Instagram, my posts, my stories, whatever. Is just simply put, do you believe that church is a safe place? That's it. Do you believe that church is a safe place? Yes or no? Now, obviously, you can send me, messages. You can text me, whatever. You can throw shouts out to me. And like my boy Chase and Morgan right there. Love y'all, love y'all, love y'all. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Am I kind of right that maybe that's just not possible with how politicized and polar everything is in our world, that the church just can't be a safe place to everyone, but Jesus will always be a safe place to everyone? So just let that sink in. Let that be a thing we live out, because we all know there's people in all of our lives who desperately need it. I love you guys. Very thankful for y'all. I can't wait to keep the conversation going, because it's one of my favorite things in life. I guess till next week, keep it going. Holler at me. Love y'all.